Hi, it's David AskTheElectrician.com, and we're looking at a project here where we're going to be replacing a light fixture with a ceiling fan. The concern that we have is that most of the ceiling light fixture boxes are not rated for the weight of a ceiling fan. The way we find out is when we uninstall the existing light fixture, we look into the box and the ceiling from the light fixture and see if it is plastic or a thin fiberglass or a brown Bakelite type box. And if it does not say on the inside of the box that it is rated for ceiling fan or have a certain weight rating above 70 pounds, then typically it is not an approved box for a ceiling fan. And if a ceiling fan were installed to most of these boxes, you have the chance of the ceiling fan coming down, the box getting loose, and it is unsafe. So in this case, we find out, yes, that the box is not rated for a ceiling fan, and we're going to be uninstalling this box. Now, if you're in a condominium or an apartment or something like that where you do not have attic access, well, the good news is that with this type of box that we're going to be installing, you don't need to have attic access. All you need to do is have access to the ceiling with a ladder and a few tools, and you can go ahead and replace the existing box. Now, we do need to do this with the electricity turned off to this light fixture or the circuit that serves the area. And then we need to identify the wiring that's inside of this ceiling fan or the ceiling light fixture as it is existing for the light fixture. If you only have one cable that goes into this ceiling box, then it's pretty straightforward. If it's a black and a white wire with a ground wire, then that's all that you need for the ceiling fan. And so you don't really have to write down what it is, but if there are several wires in there and you see some wire connectors, you definitely want to make note of what those wiring connections are. If you could take a picture of it, bring the wiring down so you can separate them, the wires from each other, so you can get a good picture of what goes where. That's going to be very, very helpful. Use masking tape and a felt marker or something like that to mark what those existing wiring connections are before you take them apart. But these wiring connections will have to be taken apart before the existing box is removed. Once that is done and you have a wiring diagram, then we can go ahead and start removing the existing box. Depending on the type of the box that is in the ceiling already, most of them are all supported by just two nails that are used to support the box bracket to a wooden member that is in the ceiling above the sheetrock. This is called a ceiling joist or truss member. And what we do is we just basically work a large screwdriver up between the box and the wooden support member in the ceiling, and we start wiggling it and loosening it up so that the box finally comes loose from the ceiling joist or the wooden piece that's in the ceiling. Now this can be done again with a large screwdriver. If it's a Bakelite box or a plastic box, I've just taken a pair of pliers and broken those into pieces and remove them from the ceiling. If it's a one-piece metal box, an old metal box, or a plastic box, obviously you're not going to be able to break those apart. But if you carefully remove all the hardware that supported the wiring as it came in, if that's necessary, if it was present with the existing light box, you just have to be able to get the wiring out of the existing box, move that box out of the way, and then get ready to install the new ceiling fan rated box. The typical, in most cases, a ceiling light fixture box is either 3 inches or 4 inches in diameter. The box that we're going to be installing is 4 inches in diameter. And so what we do is we take that box, we take note of all the installation hardware that comes with the box. It comes with the mounting screws, and those are the ones that we want to use. We place that box up against the ceiling and we compare the opening. And in most cases, we have to make a larger opening in the ceiling for the new box to go in place. And we want to make sure that if it is a larger box and we're going to be making a larger opening, that we have the opening so that the mounting hardware will be firmly attached against the ceiling member, that wooden support that is in the ceiling. We ended up making our hole in the ceiling a little bit larger so that it's plenty large enough for this box, but we don't want to make it too large. We don't want a big gap up there. But we want to be able to stick that box in there and know that we have a good fit. We're also going to pay attention to how the wires came into the existing box for the light fixture and what side of the openings where the cables came in, where those were located. And with the replacement ceiling fan box, we're going to make sure that those holes are located on the same area. Then we use our screwdriver, a pair of pliers, whatever, to create those openings for the existing wire that you're going to be bringing back into this new ceiling fan box. And you can put the box up into the ceiling and work with the wiring and bringing them into those existing holes where the existing holes were, now into the new holes for the new ceiling fan box. And you bring those cables in, make sure all the wiring is coming in and all the way into that box. And then we can slide that box down into place and install the screws and get that hardware in place and get a nice tight fit against that wooden member up into the ceiling. The box will be flush with the ceiling sheetrock. So once this is done, you just make sure that everything is nice and tight. You start putting your wire connections back together if it was a junction box. Make those wiring connections. Twist your wiring connections with a pair of pliers and then install a wire nut or wire connector for those. If you just have one cable coming in with a black and a white wire and a ground wire, then no problem. You've got those ready to go for your connection to the ceiling fan once you get that hardware in place. So now we're at the point to where we can start installing the ceiling fan mounting brackets. We make provision to bring the wire in the ceiling down into the bracket area so we can make our connection with the wiring for the ceiling fan. In this case, we're installing a hugger type ceiling fan, which does not have a single rod that comes down from the ceiling. It's the type where it just fits flush and nice and smooth up against the ceiling. So it has a wide bracket. It doesn't have one of those brackets that has a ball and a swivel in it. This one is a hugger type. And with the hugger type bracket that goes against the ceiling, they're really good because there typically there's one end where you can hang the ceiling fan motor assembly off to the side. It can support that weight while you make up the wiring connections for the ceiling fan motor. And if you have a light kit that's with your ceiling fan, in that case, you could make up that wiring as well. Having a handy person on the ground to help you out and hand you screws and the hardware that you need, and pre-assembling the ceiling fan and the blades, ceiling fan blades to the mounting brackets is very, very helpful. So we get this assembly into place. We hinge the hugger motor assembly up into place and finish it up with the mounting screws. And once that's in place, we put the other piece in place that covers the mounting hardware. Put that cover in place, and then we go ahead and install the ceiling fan blades. Add the light kit if that's the case. Put on all the finish pieces, and you're completed. There will be other videos showing the installation of switching, different switch combinations that you can use, remote controls that you can put for ceiling fans, and other types of ceiling fans. I thank you for watching. I hope this helps you out. Come to AskTheElectrician.com to see this and a lot of other projects for home electrical wiring. Thank you very much.